Brunswick-Glynn County Joint Water Sewer Commission for Thursday, June 29th, 2017. It's a little bit past 2 p.m. We're starting roughly at 2:04. We'll come to order. We will have an invocation, which I'll give, and then I'll lead the pledge. We all rise. Dear wise and loving Father, first let me say thank you on behalf of all those who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for your life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance, and for our friendship. Thank you for the ability to be useful, to do useful work, and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thanks as well for the freedom to embrace you and the freedom to reject you. Thank you for loving us even so, from your boundless and gracious nature. We ask your guidance in our work today to help us rejuvenate the Brunswick-Glynn County water and sewer systems. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have anybody for public comment? Mr. Donahue?
Commissioners, the first item on the agenda actually has two memorandums attached in your packages. One being first being the budget for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2018, beginning Saturday of this week. Some of the major changes in the budget this year are listed up on your screens. First being the staffing to improve service and operations. This involves a few positions, one being a director of operations, but it's for the last quarter of the year. We have in budget a systems information analyst to coordinate the implementation of the enterprise billing system that we're going live with next week. We have an electrician position added. Our electrical services are currently being provided via a contract. By bringing that electrician in-house, we'll have more resources for that, and hopefully become more efficient. But we still need some contracted services on the side. We currently spend upwards of $175,000 a year in the electrical contract. There's also a floater position, if you will, in assessment, plumbing, and maintenance, which will be cross-trained across different work crews to be able to fill in and complete crews rather than having to put together ad hoc crews when someone's sick or on vacation, so on, which should improve operational efficiencies and keep everybody out on the road working. And we did eliminate from the budget some backflow compliance positions and an administrative assistant position. The repair and replacement reserve for fiscal year 2018 is $4 million, which is up $500,000 from the current fiscal year to go towards the repair and replacement capital plan. We have continued replacement of rolling stock and equipment. We still have a lot of aged equipment that's prone to breakdowns, which takes it out of service and out of providing the necessary repairs and maintenance to the systems. We did take some significant steps towards that over the last year by utilizing some of the operational reserve to purchase some vehicles, some equipment. We entered into a capital lease for 4 new Vactons last year, which provide which gives us 4 machines that are always up and ready to run rather than 1 or 2 of them being constantly broken down. So it provides better efficiency, better operations, and we estimated that over the life of those vehicles, it's approximately a break even between having new vehicles and the cost of repairing the old ones. But we still do have some old equipment that's going to need replacement. We've also increased legal fees this year in the amount of $200,000 based on the lawsuits that have been arising recently. And then on the revenue side, we have a recovery of expenses related to development. And you'll see in the rate resolution that there's a schedule of fees that will be charged to builders and developers for the efforts of our planning and construction department in reviewing those plans, doing the inspections, and all of the other associated tasks with those. Those costs were previously part of the rates charged to customers, but they're actually for services requested by specific individuals or firms. So we're shifting the recovery of that cost to those individuals or firms. There's also an increase in the capital improvement fees this year, going up to $6,800, which is full recovery of those costs. Last year's resolution had a 3-step increase to full recovery. We're proposing to go to full recovery this year. Excuse me. Second slide is, in coming years, we have a few things that will have the potential to change the budget significantly. One is an increased debt service on new borrowing that we're anticipating towards the end of this year, first part of next year, to help fund the capital improvement plans. And again, as of this year, there's a continued replacement of vehicles and equipment to have these the vehicles and equipment that can actually be out functioning rather than in the repair shop a lot. There's still some increases needed in staffing, in particular in the compliance area for grease traps, backflows, going out and checking meters that have been pulled, looking for those kind of things. We have planned annual increases in the repair and replacement reserve. The 5-year plan of rates has the R&R reserve going to from $4 million in 2018 to $5 million in 2019, $6 million in 2020. And then also building the contingency reserve. We really have very little money set aside in case there was a major infrastructure collapse, failure. If we had a sewer line collapse, anything major, we really don't have anything to cover that. And then, as we mentioned in a couple of times in previous meetings, the Board of Education is currently not paying paying the debt service portions of their bills. If the findings are in favor of the Board of Education, that means that the debt service that the Board of Education would have paid would be shifted over to the user rates, and the remainder of the customers in the system would have to make up that money, which is right now approaching $300,000.
Anything else?
No, sir.
What's the staff recommendation?
The first one on the fiscal year budget. We're required to adopt the budget by June 30th of each year. In preparing this budget, the staff put together all of the expenditures, statistical data, such as usage-based charges and so on. That's been reviewed by Stantec as part of the rates. And also has covered the debt ratios. And The operational agreement requires that we present the draft budget to the city and county for their comment. We did so and have received no comment back from either government. And attached to this is the actual budget, the first page being the summary, and then the infinite detail by line item through the budget. And this has been reviewed by the Finance Committee. Payroll or personnel changes have been reviewed by both Finance and HR committees, and I believe it was also discussed in the Facilities Committee. The recommended motion is a move that the JWSC approve the fiscal year 2018 budget in the amount of $31,495,850.
Commissioners, any of y'all have a question?
Yes, sir, I have one. I'm trying to reconcile that the debt charges on the GL listing seem to be different from the summary sheet that we give you. This seems not to add up for me.
Debt charges.
Debt charges, yeah, for water. And what's on the regular sheet there?
You're on the rate resolution at this point?
No, I'm on the first thing that we're giving you. Page number 1 on the GL, and the first page of the total tax they're giving us.
Under the sewer revenues, or debt charges of $2,711,000 for
Right.
change, and then under water, $1,166,000.
Yeah, but it's
Those two together add up to $3.877 million.
okay.
On the summary sheet, Commissioner,
Yeah, the summary sheet in the beginning, I'm trying to figure out how much is the debt.
towards the bottom, the interest and principal of $3,877,000. It's the fourth, fifth line up from the bottom of the page.
First, this page?
Yes, it's
Okay. All right, I'm good.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion?
I move that the Brunswick-Glynn County Joint Water and Sewer Commission approve the fiscal year 2018 JWSC budget in the amount of $31,495,850.
Do I have a second? Do I have any discussion? Having no discussion, call the motion. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion is passed, 7-0. Okay.
The second memorandum is the rate resolution itself. And again, this was based on the budgeted figures as just adopted. And again, using the statistical data of customer, of water usage, sewer usage, number of customers, number of water use, and so on, was compiled by Stantec, formerly Burden and Associates, to determine the rates necessary to fund the budget and to provide the necessary additional funds to meet the debt service requirements, or debt service coverage requirements as required by our bond indentures. We've held the requisite public hearings for town halls, done the publishing in the Brunswick News, and inserted all of the rate increase notices in all of the customer bills. and to meet the requirements of our enabling legislation. There are increases in the customer rates for this year, pretty much across the board. Again, we have budgeted to, or the rate resolution includes going to full recovery capital improvement fees. And there is an additional schedule with the rate resolution. Following that is a fee of the schedule of the other fees and charges that for account metering services, delinquent accounts, inspection fees, and so on. And then after that is a table of the REU tables that we use to calculate the capital improvement fees when somebody taps into the system. And the final page is the schedule of fees for planning and construction activities. And these fees are, again, designed to meet our cash requirements for the year and to provide the necessary funding to maintain our debt coverage ratios. The suggested motion is to adopt the rate resolution for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2018. There is a page just after that with clarification of tax sales requirements listed in the rate resolution. So memo to P&C staff, and I would defer to the executive director for any comments on that.
Does any of the commissioners have any questions for this time?
I have no questions, sir, but I got a comment. I'm just amazed at how little response we had for the rate changes with the community. And it could be because of the county had such hard time with theirs. But it just, it's just amazing that the amount of response, and I hope it's continue to be that way throughout the year too as well, or throughout as we adopt this study, this rate change, that people will understand that we gave them an opportunity to voice their opinion, and we had very little comment. So.
That's great. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Can I have someone make a motion?
I move the JWSC. I move the JWSC adopt the rate resolution for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018.
That's second.
Any further discussion? If no other discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. It is unanimously passed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, commissioners. Okay. Now, we have one other item of business. Mr. Klein.
Commissioners, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to bring this before you. This is a memo for approval. It's essentially a public-private, or an opportunity for a public-private partnership on the south side or south mainland system, off Southport Road and Highway 17. I'll go through the background a little bit and answer questions afterwards. This proposed project is a cooperative effort between Mario Garcia, private developer, and the Joint Water and Sewer Commission to fund necessary wastewater collection system improvements on Southport Parkway, exit 29 in the south mainland system. Mr. Garcia does own a parcel of property on the western side of 17. There is a map attached. You can follow on and get a location. South side, 17, Southport Parkway. Mr. Garcia's parcel attached in red in the upper left-hand corner. That's his project area. He is in the process of rezoning this parcel to develop an approximately 65-lot RV project. parcel will be served by the Joint Water Sewer Commission sanitary sewer basin 3114. 3114 is currently designated as being over design capacity and is red, as shown on our basin maps. In the recent months, several other developments and residential construction projects within that basin have been denied access to the system due to this condition, being over capacity. The 2015 master plan update does also classify or define the capacity deficiencies within basin 3114. They are identified there, and there is currently no funding and no short-term project in the works to do the upgrades within the system that are needed. Mr. Garcia has approached us and had several meetings with the executive director and staff, and he has presented that his project is not feasible when calculated with tap fees as they're proposed or have been passed at this point going forward for the 2017-18 fiscal year. He has proposed preliminary payment of his tap fees at the current rates to fund those necessary improvements with an agreement between both parties to facilitate those improvements. This will take the form of the attached memorandum of understanding, or MOU, that's Exhibit B. Upon execution of the MOU, payment arrangements will be made immediately. Joint Water Sewer Commission has entered into a similar agreement where a portion of improvement costs that exceeded the capital tap value of the project was paid back to the developer over time. That's our unsolicited proposal that was executed last year, or this past year. In this case, it's believed the capital tap value exceeds the improvement cost, so no reimbursement will apply in this case. Hence the simple format of an MOU or understanding. Joint Water Sewer staff has performed preliminary studies that indicate certain modifications to the existing force main system possibly may alleviate the current basin designation. In particular, reconnecting the existing 16-inch and 6-inch force mains at 2 locations would take a large amount of wastewater flow off the pump station 3114. So on the map you can see we have labeled in red one location where we're proposing to reconnect existing 6 and 16-inch force main. The magenta lines you see, those are lines that are still in the ground that were abandoned in the past. What happened when they built the school at the corner, there was a section of gravity sewer that was extended. The decision was made at that time to shorten the path of the force main and discharge in that gravity sewer. The only issue with that is, normally that's a good call, but normally the issue with what that does is it diverts that flow, continues to divert that flow to pump station 3114, which is currently red. If we reconnect the force mains in that position, then also down south of 3114 and the other location, we totally bypass 3114 and go straight to the plant. That takes all that flow coming from 2 current, existing, and 1 additional proposed with this development pump stations off of 3114. Now, it's not a slam dunk. For sure it's going to work. So what we've requested, we've done the preliminary studies. It indicates that, staff feels pretty comfortable that it is a good solution and going to work. Other system modifications may be required as part of this as well, such as pump upgrades at the stations. A condition of the MOU is Mr. Garcia must provide an engineering study and design recommendation produced by the Georgia professional engineer. Once that's provided, staff will review it, determine if the improvements are feasible and in the best interest of the commission, if it makes sense, determine so the improvement project can move forward under the management of the Joint Water Sewer Commission and funded by the capital tap fees collected from Mr. Garcia. Staff believes the cost of improvements, as I stated before, may be within the scope or likely within the scope of the expected tap fees that would be realized from this project or development. Budgetary costing is designated in the required engineering design report, so we would also receive, at Mr. Garcia's cost, an engineer's opinion of probable cost to give us the scale of the budget is, make sure it's going to fall within the value of the tap fees that he would be paying. The MOU designates that if the true cost exceeds the value of the tapping fees, Joint Water Sewer reserves the right to dissolve the agreement at that time and refund the fees back to Mr. Russell. In that event, it could be evaluated, makes sense, Joint Water Sewer to add a little bit of money or whatever it may take, it still makes sense to do the improvements. It would be at Joint Water Sewer, the Commission's discretion at that time. These improvements, like point out, also coordinate well with the skate improvements that are in action down Southport that are going to come to fruition by the end of this calendar year. Staff report developed 3 options. Of course, number 1 option is do nothing, decline to enter into the proposed MOU. Number 2 is request modifications to the MOU. Number 3, approve the MOU as proposed and process the purchase of taps immediately. Staff has reviewed the above referenced agreement and believes it to be an opportunity to fund a positive first step towards long-term plan improvements within Basin 3114. Staff does recommend option number 3. The motion follows. Happy to answer any questions. Maybe a few.
Questions?
How do we know what shape the 18 inches is? If we abandoned it,
That's one of the, and there's even a portion of it that's now underneath the roads. It's been very hard to do any preliminary investigations. All the records we have, photographs, engineer documents, record drawings, for the work that was done and the disconnection of those force mains indicate that it was capped off properly and PVC should still be viable material sitting in the ground, but that would have to be a
When was it abandoned?
It was 5 to 10 years ago. It was a while ago.
Was when the school was built, right?
The school was built, when they were chopped, and then well, at one point, the first disconnection down close to 3114 happened when the Peninsula Project extended the 16-inch force main, I believe. At some point around that time period, the 6-inch was then discharged to 3114. At one time, it went all the way to the plant. Now, the Abington Woods Centilla School was done, that was when the school was, the upper end was disconnected at that point.
so any future development in this area, potentially adjacent to his proposed development, is it going to go through his system now, or is it going to go through the existing force mains there?
It would likely do as his is being proposed. He would have his own private lift station that would manifold into the existing force main. It would likely be the same. It'd be tough to, his lift station would likely be located on his property unless we designated it to be a parcel dedicated. We wish to own that. Adjacent properties could potentially drain to that station, but would likely make their own independent connection to the force main along 17.
Now, he's going to turn that lift station over to joint water once he's complete.
His intent at this point, that's to be determined. That's to be determined. That does happen in some cases, but if it's solely dedicated to serving that private development, we'd like to look at the option of metering the flow in master meter format and not having the obligation to maintain that station here on out.
Well, okay, but what happens if he does a poor job at that lift station and you get a lot of infiltration and you can't control it? Why would we want any private lift stations on the system if you don't have to?
Well,
Good point.
I just want to comment to that question, Commissioner Ford. Certainly, one of the things we've instituted is that we don't allow people to connect on if they aren't built to our standards. And we're metering them, right outside the lift station. They're the ones that are going to pay for it. They're going to pay for it just like it's sewage. So, and we're not in a shortage or a short supply of capacity in the south. In fact, we're way beyond overcapacity there because a lot of things that were supposed to happen when that plant was upsized have not. Am I correct in that?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So that's probably not going to be an issue, but they are going to build it to our standards as far as the station goes. And if they have I&I issues on their property, it will benefit them to maintain them and take care of it if they're paying the sewage bill.
but we don't want to kind of have it as joint water, so any future expansion could utilize it also.
If they size it just for their facilities, just for their site, we wouldn't really have a benefit to owning it, to be maintaining it, you know, for the benefit of the folks who live at that site. But unless they build it, oversize it, provide a lot of space around it so that future upgrades could be made, or one or both of those, I don't see why that would be an issue for us.
Okay. I just thought it was my impression that we were going to try to accept ownership to all these lift stations and everything that meet our needs, you know?
That's not the case. We want people building lift stations to build them to our specs in the event that we have to take them over at some future date. I don't want to be starting from scratch. And if they build them by our standards, that ensures reliability and functionality that maybe a private lift station wouldn't. And I know there's everybody on the board here probably knows the stories where people have put in some makeshift pumps into what was it out at the trail thing, trash barrels. But you know, we're trying to prevent that kind of thing. But I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mode of trying to take over everybody's private lift stations.
I'm kind of in the same ballpark as Dave. And I want to not have too many private systems out there, because what invariably happens is time goes by, things change, and we wind up with situations like over on St. Simon's Island, what's the name of that? Where the curve is.
You're talking
Huh?
about Hawkins Island.
Hawkins Island, that's it. We wind up with Hawkins Island, we wind up with private lift stations over there. The people that are there think that we own it. We think we don't own it.
If the situation, as I understand it, this is going to be a single owner. Everybody, one owner is going to own the entire parcel.
Well, I understand that he's going to own the property, and that's somewhat of a difference. But how many? It's an RV park, right? And how many RVs is he going to park there?
I forget it was
65 to 70.
I don't see an RV park necessarily being subdivided.
Well, I agree with you there. I'm just concerned about the future when, let's say that his RV park doesn't pan out. So 5 years from now, he's selling the property, and somebody's wanting, that's a big enough plot of land to put houses on.
8 acres plus. Well, if they built it to our standards today,
Well, if they built it to our standard, we could assume it. I agree with that.
that's what that was kind of where I was leaning. And we're requiring them to do so.
Okay. But we don't know how much it's going to cost to open this line.
Pardon me?
Do we know how much it's going to cost to open this
No,
line?
they're still doing the feasibility analysis right now. The first step is to find out if the project can be done that is practical.
And it hasn't gone through the planning commission?
No, they're doing the feasibility analysis to find out if it can be done. Theoretically, it looks like it'll work. Correct me if I'm wrong, Todd, but it needs to be verified by engineering analysis.
As far as the proposed design for
Right.
improvements, right, correct. That appears, the staff's taking a look at that, it appears the cost should be below the value of the fees. Now, the project itself, he owns the property, he's going through rezoning right now. So to answer your question, you're correct, does not have plans.
So what's exactly the MOU for?
To,
Allow him to do a feasibility study?
it's,
So that he can buy his taps at today's rate?
that's one incentive, I'm sure. Yeah,
The way the project would work, right now, if they do this fix, it fixes more than them because it opens up capacity for us to be able to allow some of the other developments that are sitting on the wall right now that are already platted and ready to go. So this opens up capacity down there to an extent for other developers who've been knocking at the door for us. And at this point, the MOU is to get them to go ahead and get started. And they'll pay us the fees, provided the engineering analysis is completed in the next 60 days and it's to our satisfaction. We'll execute the project and they'll get their fees, get their taps, and we'll open up capacity to the rest of the area down there as a result of their execution of the MOU. And the funds will derive from them tomorrow.
Why can't we, in the MOU, put a clause in there saying that if the property ever turned over to another owner, if they want to do something at an RV park, they'll have to come back to JWSC and make sure that what they're doing, that the impact is not any worse on that system.
We can do that.
Greater on that system than we could put something in there.
Yeah. Mr. Dorman just made the point, they'd have to go back through the planning process anyway through the county. So they would in essence have to come back to us.
And, at that time, if you see that there's some kind of a, burden going to be put on that system greater than what the RV park's putting on it, that can be addressed before everything's allowed to go through, so.
Correct. And just to clarify, the improvements this is addressing is simply the improvements to our system out in the right of way. Any on-site improvements will be totally separate, as was stated, have to go through the plan review process, or the normal plan review process. So these improvements we're talking about right now are just the kind of quick and hopefully not so involved fixes we're talking about on our system as it exists out in the right of way. So anything on-site, like an on-site pump station like that, most definitely go through the normal channels for approval. It was above and beyond this, the developers.
So where's going to be the delineation line from his lift station to joint water system? Is it going to be the first manhole on the joint water side? Or is it going to be from the force main from his lift station down?
Typically it would be a control valve there at the right of way. So this is the pump stations. It's kind of a new thing, in other words, with where we put a delineation point there. I know with the smaller stations, like say grinder stations, we put a clean out and valve inspection point right there at the right of way, and that's the point of demarcation. But our specs going forward too, stations are going to have flow meters on them. So everything discharging LDF flow will be metered. That could be the point of demarcation, but likely either be the receiving point of the manhole, like you said, or the manhole connection, but we prefer it right at the right of way. We don't prefer not to go on the private property if all possible.
So that's where our flow meter is going to go. We're not going to require him to put one in. We're going to put one.
It would be required as part of their development for joint water to sign off on the plans. We would require a flow meter, method of flow meter for our business.
Mr. Downey? Is this going to set a precedence that's going to create problems for us in the future?
No, I don't think so. This is a pretty unique situation, and I think this is kind of, we'd like to encourage this type of thing, to make improvements to the system without having any impact on our budget.
Well, I don't mind improving the system without having an impact to our budget. I'm just not a fan of, here they are, they're going to put a lift station, and then it's not going to be ours, it's going to be private.
I think the thing is they're going to open this, their money's going to open this line. Is that, if I understood the project correctly?
That is the hope. Right, correct.
And if I understand correctly, that before anything happens, somebody has to go look at that line, and there has to be an engineering thing that says, yes, you can do this and it will achieve the objectives that you have.
Correct, yes, sir. And at that point, that'll be the point at which we can say, doesn't make sense to us, we can back out of the hole, dissolve the agreement, and refund the fees that were paid at that point. That's one point. The next point would be, it's in the MOU that we designated, if nothing happens with the development project within 12 months, that's another point at which we can say, agreement's dissolved, refund your fees, and we'll see you on the next opportunity.
So we didn't put this in, like we did the other ones where we unsolicited. Did we put this in an unsolicited format?
Good question. We did not. Unsolicited proposal is normally for any time the cost of improvements exceeds the value of the tapping fees, and then there's a repayment to the developer over a period of time, such as the one we did this past year.
Okay. What if the estimated cost of doing the correction is greater than what the tap fee revenue is going to be?
Good question. We covered that in the MOU as well. If that's the case, that's another stipulation. If the engineer's opinion probable cost exceeds the value of the tap fees, that's another avenue for us to bow out and say, hey, sorry, we need to go back and look at this again, refund the tap fees that have been paid at that point, and move on.
And at that point, we can enter into it, we can go through the unsolicited proposal procedure.
Okay.
I
Go ahead.
actually like it. You know, we got a developer, if it works out, the way we hope it does, we have a developer that's going to add some, you know, invoicing, I say invoicing, some billing, however you look at it, which we need from sewer. And I know we have plenty of capacity out of the next 20 times. And he's going to get these lines operational. It's not going to cost us anything. And sooner or later, they're going to have to be made, they're going to have to be tied back into the system anyhow.
We've had a pretty hard push from some of the builders that own properties down there that can't make housing starts. They said they would if they had the capacity.
But it's coming. And if we can oversee and, you know, make sure that he does everything to our standards, then I don't have too big a problem if he owns it, because when he invests the kind of money he's going to have to invest in it, he's going to take care of it, I'm pretty sure. And then go back to, you know, if he does sell it one day with the owner, if he changes anything, he'll have to come through the process again to make sure they can do anything differently with it. So, I'm okay.
Todd, does Garcia's engineered study include evaluation of that 18-inch line? Or is that something we will do after we receive the study results?
That's a fair question there. It is, the study at this point only does not include any excavation of exposing lines and verifying, but it could be something we include in the scope of engineering services, definitely. The intent or the thought was that once the project was determined to be feasible, it would then make sense for us to go out internally and verify ourselves what we think is in the ground or still in the ground.
So the MOU then locks in the tap fees. Then we get the study within 60 days. At that time, we know what the cost will be based on the estimate of their professional engineer.
Correct.
And then we can do an evaluation, and we'll then do an evaluation of the existing line and the study and decide whether or not we want to proceed. If we don't want to proceed, then we return the tap fees. If we do want to proceed, then we have 12 months at that point to finish the work.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
You comfortable? Okay, got a motion?
I move to authorize the chairman to execute an agreement in the form of the attached MOU, Exhibit B, facilitate the necessary JWSC system improvements to Basin 3114.
Second.
Second. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimous, 7-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Is there anything else, Mr. Executive Director?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay. Commissioners? Comments?
Sir.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Second. All in favor, use your right hand. That was unanimous also. How about all this? Adjourn.